Hey Ryan, it's Michael and kangaroos.
Well, I was waiting for your honoured guest to say something, but they're a little bit quiet. I don't know if they're a little bit bit of stage fright or something. But
It is. Yeah.
is that your lunch?
Yeah, that's right. This is my lunch. I still haven't had a chance to eat lunch, so I brought it in. No, we're actually missing Matt. Don't worry, he will turn up. But he's with some customers in the shop. So instead of delaying the live stream, we thought Ruben and I and the sandwich would launch off and go from there. You know what I've forgotten, Rubes?
What?
I've forgotten my laptop.
That is an important thing for you.
It is, because I have no clue what people are saying and who's jumped in.
Well, it's all right. I'm actually mic'd up today, so I can give you a bit of a run through of everyone that's coming through and what they're asking.
Prop, mate. I get nervous without it.
You've got a sandwich you can hold.
I'm just going to move the sandwich to the side. There we go.
Alrighty, so we're getting lots of hellos for everyone, lots of questions coming through already.
Excellent. Who have we got on stream?
So we've got Jeff, Mark Baird, Ozguy, Simon Bickerton, Mark Newcomb. I'm worried I'm going to skip over names here. But yeah, a whole bunch of different names, everyone's saying hi.
Excellent. So I hope not too many people are washed away.
Yes.
It's been pretty hairy down the east coast there. So unfortunately or unfortunately, we haven't copped any yet. But yeah, and being on tank water, we wouldn't mind a little bit of the rain from up there. But I know it's pretty serious further up north. So
yeah, I've got some friends from up there, and I've been receiving videos of that's it. Things like even like the inside of their cars flooding and things like that. And yeah, that's it. It's been a.
We had friends of my in-laws' family escaping, and as the footage going back towards their house, there's no, it must have been when they were going back in, but there's actually one of the kids' four-wheel motorbikes is wrapped up in the power lines.
Oh jeez.
So yeah.
Everyone's saying that your mic's low, so I don't know if it's pointing in the wrong spot or if your pack's not actually on. You've just got lights on it. I'm not sure.
Pack's on, pack's off. I'll move it further up, and we'll see if that makes any difference at all. Connor, could you grab me my laptop? That would be excellent. And mouse, please. So yeah, what's been happening, mate? What's been happening in the shop? And
it's been an interesting little bit in the shop. I think I might have said this the other day, but yeah, every time the world gets crazy, it gets crazy in the bullion industry. People start to realise the advantages of looking at precious metals.
And what are those advantages, mate?
That no matter how crazy things get, it's going to hold its value.
It is. Yeah. One of the things, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this online, one of the things I love about gold is that the dodgier the place, the crazier the time, the more sure you can be that people are going to take gold.
Yeah, we've seen that a bit. You know, we'll get people come through, and less so recently. But you know, it's been a case of, oh, you know, if I'm traveling to this country, you know, am I going to be able to sell this? And that's it. It's usually that case of, you know, that's it. The more worried they are about being able to take it there, the more likely it is that the
will they take it in deepest, darkest Africa? Yeah. Absolutely, they will.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the advantages of it. Sounds like your mic's doing better as well, so that's good to hear.
Leave it up that little bit higher. I'm just trying to join everyone so I can see the questions.
Getting a few questions about the gold swan. Lots of people asking about the swan.
I thought we weren't allowed to mention the swan.
Well, I mean, it seems the cat's been out of the bag.
It's not even who might have done that. So, yeah, no, we can leave that going. Where's the chat? Oh, the chat isn't there. It is. Now we're loaded. Yeah, okay, so the swan has arrived. It's release day today. Have we got a photo to put up, Rubes?
I think so.
So this is the design. This is the Perth Mint marketing picture, if you like. So you know, it's not actually taken off a coin. It's a computer-generated design. So it's probably looking at its best. But yeah, that's the design for this year. We received our first batch today. We're expecting to receive the rest early next week. Now, it is a beautiful coin. It's a limited mintage. It's a private mintage, actually, for the gold and the silver. Unfortunately, as a company, we can't really get hold of the silver. I'm lying slightly because we can get the silver, but the cost on it is huge. In fact, it's actually dearer for me to buy it wholesale and ship it in than it is for you to buy it retail. So you're going to need to have a hunt around and buy it retail if you want it in the silver. But we do have the gold. Now, they made 5,000 of the gold. 90 of those 5,000 stayed in the country. The rest were all immediately shipped overseas to the company that's the lead company on this that's organised it. So that's fair enough. That's between them and Perth Mint. We managed to secure 60 of those 90. So yeah,
it's an impressive percentage of those that stayed in Australia. But that's it. To look at those numbers and realise how many went overseas, it's definitely going to be a quick growing one.
Yeah, it will. We haven't actually managed to list them on the web yet. Don't panic. You don't have to race over there and look for them because they're not there yet. But they will be there very soon.
We haven't unboxed them. We're going to do it in a famous epic unboxing
well,
first.
I'd love to, but the day has been absolutely insane, and we just haven't had a chance to get there.
Hence, replacing Matt with a sandwich.
That's right, with our blow up sandwich.
It's not quite as talkative.
Yes. I won't make any other comments. I was going to say a couple of things, but I won't.
Probably smart.
So, yeah, it's all good fun. So that's the swan, the story of the swan. If you're interested in them, they are a little bit dearer than, say, your kangaroo type of coin, but I would argue that they are worth the extra funds because you're getting a very limited production coin. So it's no guarantee that they're going to increase in value over time, but it certainly puts the odds in your favour that they are going to increase over time, and the collectors are going to want to get hold of them with that limited mintage of 5,000. So if you're interested in it, grab it while you can. They absolutely won't last long. I'll be surprised if they last the weekend. So yeah, that's the swan. It leads me into something I wanted to actually talk about, and I hinted at this last week, and I know I'm jumping a little bit off the questions, but a lot of the premiums around the industry are starting to increase again. So Perth Mint's increased their premiums, and I know several others of the major refineries have. So you're going to see over the coming, say, month to 6 weeks, a lot of prices on some basics and some of the coins starting to increase on everybody's websites as they start to jump them up. So I think you'll notice on the Swan, I think it's about I think in wholesale they've increased it about $30, but I think retail they've only allowed us to increase the price about $10 or $15. So we're starting to see those increases coming through as you'd expect with the supply chain issues that everyone's having and inflations and all that sort of stuff that we could argue ad infinitum. So yeah, just a bit of information for you on that one.
Blue Banded Bees is asking if you've seen the Ram Royal Australian Mint kangaroo that was released yesterday, and if so, what's your opinion? I just sent you a photo of it, Michael, if you wanted to check if you haven't seen it yet, and you can give a live reaction.
I have seen it. I'm not stoked with it, if I'm completely honest.
The later part to that comment was, to be honest, it looks like it's been sprung doing a poo. So
I can see that. It's got that guilty look my dog gets.
It's not Bullion Now's opinion, but it's certainly an interesting design.
Yeah, look, I'm not a fan of it. And when I saw it, I kind of went, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, really. I don't like the lack of detail on the skin, if you like, on its hide. It's very smooth finish, and I've never seen a bald kangaroo before. The background is...
It's definitely more kind of abstract. And, that's it. You've got those sharp kind of jutting corners. You've got like kind of the rocks there. If you aren't sure what we're talking about, if you just take a quick look at if you Google the 2022 Royal Australian Mint kangaroo. But yeah, so it's kind of like they've got a whole bunch of ideas that they're trying to incorporate into this one coin.
Yeah. I think they've overcomplicated it.
I think so too.
And I think they've put in detail where they didn't need to, and they haven't put detail in where they probably should. Giving texture to the kangaroo, I think, would have helped quite a bit. But look, I'm honestly, I'm no artist. I can barely scribble a wonky line, never mind anything else. So.
Yeah, ditto. We are sitting here, talking about designs that are way outside our...
We're Monday morning experts.
That's the one.
It doesn't grab me, is probably the best way to put it. All right, now I've insulted the Royal Australian Mint. What's the next one?
Let me have a look.
Nobby's asking about the Silver Swan, the 2022.
Yes.
It has been released, but unfortunately we can't get hold of it. So have a hunt around. I'm not actually sure who's doing it in Australia. Perth Mint obviously will be, and there will be one of the other dealers will also have taken it on board.
There's a question here. I'm not sure if you'll know off the top of your head, or if it's something that maybe we'll advise you later. But there's someone asking. We've spoken a little bit about a new website that's coming. Will it show unallocated balances, or maybe even allocated balances in storage? Is that something, at least, because I say this to customers all the time, it's something we're aware that we would like to add. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting it added. Yeah,
look, it's an absolute limit of our current website. It is in the planning for our new website. It's interesting, we're having a conversation about it today, and I know it's not as simple as the programmers are finding it more difficult than they expected, is probably the best way to put it. We're certainly going to keep working towards it. Eventually we will have it there. Not unallocated as far as I'm aware. I don't know on that. Definitely the unallocated we're working towards. The allocated we should be able to do. I would have thought that was far easier, actually.
You can currently see what orders you've made that are being stored there, but I think that's it. We may need to look at a better way of indicating which ones are or where.
Yeah.
And that'll be a good way to do it.
So yeah, look, the allocated would actually be fairly simple, I think. So that's maybe something we should look at. So Marion, if you're watching, note that one down and we'll chase that one up.
Fantastic. Now I think I took a sneak peek a little bit at the live emails before, and I know there's something Star Wars themed sitting there, so I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look at the live emails or not. I don't think you've got any printouts of them, but I did see a sneaky peek of something Star Wars related that
Well, let's bring it up now. I need to push Matt along. He must. The queue must be just as long as it was before.
Hello from Pinaroo, from Peter Grace Me Guide. Hello, hello.
Oh, no, this is probably one that you need to take control of because it's photos of a Star Wars welding mask.
Oh, is it that one? Yeah, okay.
So,
I don't have the pictures of it.
We might do that one
be able to add
week.
it. May have to leave it for next week. But there is Star Wars content coming, and I saw it and thought it was very, very cool.
Yeah, it looks great to me. The other one is from the Blue Banded Bees again. So hi Michael, I would like to compliment. Oh no, my apologies. The last one was from Blue Banded Bees. This one's from Bruce. I'd like to compliment Bullion Now and Little Coin Shop on their website. So thank you for that. And anyone that doesn't know, Little Coin Shop is our sister company that looks after the numismatics side of coins and bullion. Can you explain why a lot of coin websites, including mint websites, continue to display coins on their web pages when the coins are out of stock, sold out, or unavailable, sometimes for many weeks, if not months? Looking at web pages like this is very frustrating at times. I think it would be the same for many others, including me. It drives me nuts when I see that, both as a customer but also as a stocker of certain mints around the world, when they leave those things up because we have people saying, oh, it's available on the Perth Mint, or it's on the Perth Mint website. I wasn't going to use a name in that.
That slipped out quickly. I see it all the time on other coin sites as well. I think it's to do with them wanting the clicks for it. So, if you Google a specific coin or bar, their site still comes up. And, even if you don't then buy it because you can't because it's sold out, it's still a case of, you've looked at their site. But yeah, as a buyer, it frustrates me quite a lot. Yeah. That's it. You go on there and you say, oh, it's out of stock. And I never quite have faith in those notify me when it's back in stock buttons, because it's always like, I think it's well and truly done, and you're just leaving the thing up there for the clicks.
Speaking to Perth Mint at the moment, and I'm not an employee of Perth Mint. We do distribute Perth Mint products, but that's as far as I can go. So I'm not in secret meetings or anything like that where I know inside gossip. But from my experience, quite often they put the unavailable up because the product hasn't completely sold out, whether that be because they're waiting for people to take up their allocation, like ourselves or some of the other companies. And they're not sure if they're all sold out yet. They might become available later on. Or alternatively, they may not have completed their mintage run. So if it's I'll start that in English. Let's say the Swan, it's a 5,000 mintage and they've only produced 4,000 of them. They'll make it unavailable until they can mint the other 1,000 remaining. So it's not yet sold out. It's just unavailable until they complete the mintage. and then they can make those last 1,000 available. And I do know that I have experienced Perth Mint doing that before, so that can also be a reason. But yeah, look, I totally agree. It's incredibly frustrating when they do it. So we much prefer it when they remove it from public view. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have control over those things. So.
Alrighty. There's one here that I'm not sure if we can answer, or if it's something that, you know, we might just have to broaden out a little bit. Are there any refineries or bullion companies that you don't buy from, like blacklisted companies? I was kind of just quickly going to answer that with, you know, the concept of, you know, whilst there's different, you know, business relationships between certain companies and things like that, at the end of the day, it's not like there is a difference between necessarily the quality of the product. You know, as long as we're dealing with bullion grade, and that's one of the advantages of bullion, is that it's not a case of, you know, selling cars or something where, you know, there's that one car that always breaks down, and, you know, I've never buy from them because it'll always go this way or that.
Yeah.
Whilst there is definitely still business relationships happening, we don't enter into that, you know, the same kind of realm as other businesses would have to deal with.
No, that's exactly right. Look, there are some refineries that we don't deal with, and I have to say, it's not because of a bad experience particularly, as much as, you know, we can only keep track of so many refineries at any one time, or they're too small for us. They won't supply us with enough, or alternatively, their minimum orders may be too great because they're pitching towards an overseas market or something along those sort of lines, where they only deal in 400 ounce bars, or, you know, you have to order a minimum of 50 kilos of gold in kilo bar form, or things like those sort of things that would discount us out. So, but as far as if someone was bringing it back, you've purchased it from, you know, I'm trying to think of a name that's not going to offend anyone. Even you can't even say, you know, from XYZ company, because people think you're talking about ABC, or, you know, like it's just, you know, a random company that doesn't exist anymore even. You know, if it comes in, we test it to make sure that it's 4 nines pure, it's the correct weight. Short of that, we don't care, because if in the really rare case, and I actually can't think of any off the top of my head.
If we hated it for whatever reason.
Yeah, we'd send it to one of the refineries, we'd get it melted down and sent back with a different stamp on the front. So, no, you can be safe buying pretty much any name if your intent is to sell it back to someone like me as a bullion dealer. We don't really care what name there is on it. And if somebody said to you, you walked in the store and they said, we're not going to pay you as much for that one because it's
this brand.
Again, I can't, I'm not going to use the names. No, I can't even do that.
Just a brand.
Yeah, because it's a brand. I would pick all my stuff up and I'd walk out and I'd go and find another bullion dealer, because there's no reason for that. I know occasionally people give slightly more because of a brand. Please don't come into the store expecting this, but in incredibly, incredibly rare situations where we know we're chasing a particular one for a reason, we've got a customer that says, no, I have to have this coin or this brand, we have been known to pay slightly more because we know we can flick it straight through, so we can pass a better price on to you as our customer. We have been known to do that on very rare occasions. But no, if there's no brand that we wouldn't accept once it's been correctly XRF'd. There is one brand whose initials spell something out that drives us insane, and even though the guys behind the counter, everyone in the company says, oh, we don't care, we still sell them like that, I noticed that they never move out of the safe because they're all subconsciously embarrassed to present that on the front counter. That's probably the only brand that I can think of that I would send back to get remelted. And it's not that we don't like the brand, it's just the guys don't seem to pull it out of the safe.
And once again, that's individual kind of, you know, that's it, business relationships, or, you know, individual feelings about a product, as opposed to not buying it back because it's not any more or less pure.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's a question here talking about the silver kangaroos. Is Perth Mint doing the silver kangaroo bars this year? So I think my initial answer is they typically seem to follow the rectangular dragon. It's kind of a run-on of, hey, we're doing rectangular bars, you know, let's do them all in once. But so yeah, I'm hoping to see them in the next couple of months, but I don't know if you've heard anything solid on that.
They usually follow 6 weeks to 2 months after the dragon traditionally. But this year doesn't seem to be very traditional, as last year didn't either. The dragons we normally expect out kind of late March, early April. The rumours, the rumblings I'm hearing are that they're not going to be out until May kind of time, and even that's being revised. So we fully expect them to be released this year, but that's no guarantee. But yeah. And if Perth Mint's watching, honestly, guys, if you could produce that, the kangaroo bar is so popular, and I would argue that it would probably be as popular, if not more popular, than the 1 ounce coin. Ramp up the production, guys.
Yeah.
You would, absolutely, you'd sell them. We'd take huge slabs of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, particularly with some of those smaller bars gaps that they've now kind of left with missing the 10 ounce bar and previously the 20 ounce bar. There's kind of that jump up from the 1 ounce silver kangaroo bar right up to the kilo, and so that's it. Yeah. Having another smaller bar is definitely
it would
a
definitely
good idea, I think. Yeah. Do you guys ever get in the Mint ID bullion, and what are your thoughts on it? I
don't know a lot about that one. The couple of designs I've actually seen, I've been pretty impressed with. Their quality's good. It's a private mint. It's a not a huge production from what I understand, although I may stand corrected on that because I don't know a lot about them.
From what I know about them, I think it's far more centered around the idea of verification for people as opposed to necessarily. I mean, I haven't looked too much, but you know, it's also about the designs and things as well. But that's it. It's about that. Hey, I don't have access to an XRF or this or that. I can still sell it on that secondhand market, and people can check it, can verify it that they're buying the real thing, without having to
have all 30 grand on an XRF.
That's it.
Look, we do, just on that for a second, we do. This is really only going to count for like local-based viewers that are watching this, but we do encourage people to bring in their stuff. If you're ever suspicious of a transaction that you're about to do or that you've done and you've got the product at home, you can bring them in and we will quite happily XRF them. Yeah, look, if we've got a queue out the door, absolutely, you're going to have to wait till the end of the queue before we actually get to you to XRF it, because at the end of the day, we're a business. But we're quite happy for you to use our XRF, use our facilities, come in, check a bar before you do the transaction. Obviously, we're not going to sit there and XRF 1,000 kangaroos for you, but you know, we're quite happy to do half a dozen if you need to, and that way you can be sure of your transaction. Because I'd far rather that you
have confidence in it.
Have confidence, even if you're not dealing directly with us, you're doing it with a third party. We'd far rather that you had the confidence in it, because too often we experience people bringing in fakes that they've sourced elsewhere, and then we're trying to explain to them that, you know, they've spent $2,500 on a gold bar and got an absolute bargain, but they've actually ended up buying copper or something like that.
You don't want to leave bullion with a bad taste in their mouth, whether or not it's from us or somewhere else. You know, if you can say, hey, you know, you've got a legitimate product, you know, you can stack it like any other. Yeah. That's it. We'd much rather give that confidence for people. So
if you're in the neighbourhood and you'd like to either have something checked, or you're doing a private transaction and you'd like it checked before you fork over your hard-earned cash, we're happy to make our facilities available where practical. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Do you think the resale on coins with overseas currency, for example Tuvalu, seem to be different than ones with Australia on it? So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we see that's it, different legal tender countries being used on certain coins, whether or not they're trying to do it for cheaper, or if, you know, they've already paid for licensing or something else, or, you know, there's a variety of reasons. But yeah, do you see that impact the amount that they sell for?
Yeah, look, people far prefer, if they're buying a coin from the Perth Mint, they far prefer to see it have an Australian currency on it. If they're buying it from the States, they'd far rather see a US back on it, like currency on it, or, you know, the UK or Europe or wherever. They'd always prefer that. Having said that, you know, some of the productions, I don't know if people realise why they do use, like Perth uses, is it Tuvalu?
Tuvalu for some of them I've seen.
Yeah. So each of the mints usually has one or two of the smaller countries around the world, whose one of their main exports is actually using their name, their currency as an export, because they get a royalty off whatever's produced.
And oftentimes they're still in parity with either the Australian dollar or the New Zealand dollar. So it's not like it's so far apart that, you know, it's not worth anything. It is still worth that equivalent amount. It's just,
And that's right. And the Tuvalu is part of the Commonwealth, so you still get the Queen's Head on it and all that sort of stuff. So, but the reason they do it is Perth Mint and every mint in every country will be exactly the same. What they're producing when they produce an Australian coin, whatever's on the front, if it, on the obverse is the word Australia and $1 or $100 or $1,000, and it's got the Queen's head on it, it is legal tender. And despite popular fact out there, governments can't just produce as much currency as they want, despite the fact that you may believe that that's what they're currently doing.
Let's not get into that.
That's right. They are limited to the number they can produce. So if they can actually spear some of that production demand off and use in other countries, then it allows them to produce more within their country, or more types or more actual numbers. So it just gives them that flexibility. It gives the other country royalty, like I said. So it's a win-win for everyone in those situations. Yes, it can impact on price. Like I said, people far prefer to see an Australian stamp on an Australian coin rather than a Tuvalu stamp on an Australian coin. However, it does depend very much on the series. So the Simpsons series, I think, was Tuvalu, even though it was produced out of Australia and it's an American cartoon. It was Tuvalu backed. The fact that it's got a Tuvalu behind it makes absolutely no difference. It's still very widely collected and it's still increased in value. Some of the other major things that you'll see go out there, people don't tend to care that it's Tuvalu. It's because of the production, the series, the rarity, those types of things that really drive the price.
Niue's the other one we often
Niue,
see.
Yeah. I think it's Sunshine Mint has the Congo.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, yeah. Alrighty. What do we got? What else, mate?
Will we be getting any Little Johns from the Royal Mint? Robin Hood and Marion are getting lonely.
Little John's,
they're enjoying some time to themselves.
Little John's on his way. I believe we've received shipping details on it. And in fact, we may have even paid the import duties on it. I can't remember. We only had this conversation this morning.
Yeah, hopefully not too far away.
Yeah, so within the next couple of weeks, I'd expect to see them hitting our website.
Why is the Armenian Noah's Ark as cheap as generic silver bullion?
That's a great question. Actually can't give you an answer. Not a good answer. I'm not complaining about it. I actually like it because I think it's a beautifully designed coin, and I like the fact that it's actually a reasonable price, unlike some of the other coins that are still bullion coins, but they jack the price right up. I don't know. It's we're just very fortunate, I suppose, is the short answer on that one.
Yeah, and they come. I don't. Might have to send people to look at our unboxing we did on them, but I love the boxes on them. And, the certificate it comes in, and it's not like it's a cheaper experience or anything like that. It came in this
they're wooden boxes, aren't they? Yeah, with a really nice. They don't give a certificate per coin, but they give a certificate per
for the
box.
monster box. Yeah,
and it's about yay big, and it's got gold writing on it, and it really. We should do an actual video just on that because they really are schmick. So for the price, the Noah's Ark is one of my favourite coins because of the price. I love the design, and it's probably not one that we make enough song and dance over because it really is a pretty coin and Absolutely. It's a great value coin.
Any new releases coming out soon that we can talk about? We kind of
Swan.
The Swan and the Little John hopefully will be definitely on everyone's to watch list.
We do have the Platinum Completer arriving in the next couple of weeks as well. So keep your eye out for that. That's a good one. And the Tudor Beasts coming out. So the is it the Jaguar? No, Panther. It's the Panther that's been released, and the Lion is next, I believe. So that should be arriving middle to the end of this month. I think that arrives and we can do the release on that. So they're the new ones coming in. As I hinted before, we're hoping to see the dragon, the rectangular dragon, come Mayish. That's the red hot rumour. Got no facts on that one. It's just a red hot rumour. After the Swan, we usually get an emu as well, don't we? So that won't be too far down the track. There'll be an emu release.
We are talking about things we haven't necessarily heard of yet as well. This is also just basing it on previous years and stuff like that. So for all we know, Perth Mint will throw us a curveball.
Frequently does. The Super Pit shouldn't be too far away, assuming they're doing one this year, and I haven't heard if they are. The Nugget coin, again, will be not too far away, the fourth in the series. Looking forward to seeing that one.
Yeah.
And the one that is always entertaining. Or actually, there's two more. The quokka will be coming later on this year, and we anticipate being the Australian distributor for that one. So keep your eyes out for that. But before that, we should see the double Pixiu.
Ooh.
So hopefully that will be released, and I believe, because they do that in alternating
an
years.
odd release one, yeah.
So it's silver one year, gold the next, silver, gold, and I believe this year is silver, so which is always incredibly popular. So stand by for that one, which will probably be released about mid-year, and the way we're going, I think.
No worries. Someone here is asking if, well, first of all, have you ever heard of the intaglio mint?
Yes.
Okay, because they were talking about a particular coin. Price was $120 from the US. One's recently sold in the market for $300 plus delivery. And so, you know, the question was, how do you value a round from that mint? But I think that's a little bit tough because that's it. You're talking a 300 mintage kind of number. So you're very much getting into the collectability on that. And that's it, as you've said there in the comment, popular subject matter. So you're kind of relying on that collectability to carry it through.
Yeah.
But I just tried to check out the website and it wouldn't let me on. So I'm presuming like a Cloudflare kind of a DDoS protection. So I can't even check them out to check for myself.
Yeah, look, they're one of those... It's darn near impossible to value them. They're one of those boutique mints. It'll be produced.
I think that's as they describe themselves. They describe themselves as a boutique mint.
Yeah. So if they produce one that's for some reason grabs the world's fancy, probably the best example of that off the top of my head, or an extreme example, is the XAG when they produced some of those. A couple of those designs grabbed people's fancy. I'm stretching it to call them a boutique mint, but it's a boutique mintage, if you like, or a private mintage. And
at the end of the day, there wasn't that many of them. So,
No.
you know, if everyone decides they're after them, supply and demand kicks in and off you go.
And that's right. But other, mids and things like that have produced stuff have never done much at all. So really, 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 really hard to value those types of things.
MP's asking about the silver Brumby.
I haven't heard. They will produce it because they've just produced the. They've just produced the proof of it. I believe. I'm pretty sure I saw that over at LCS, or that's about to be released. It might be part of the March or April release. So absolutely, the design's in. Problem with the Brumby again, and we keep coming back to this excuse, is that it is a private mintage, and we will probably not get a look in. So it's unlikely that you're going to see it through us. But again, it's a great coin and it's a great design and it's very, very popular. So keep your eye out for it around the traps.
We get asked this every week, but I've got to ask it every time just to make sure people know we're not ignoring their questions. Any word on a 5-ounce silver Lunar Tiger from Perth? The laugh says it all. We want them. They're technically, that's it. They've released the Tiger, so it should have joined in with the rest of them. So we're waiting to hear from Perth.
Man, Tennessee CNC is talking. I don't know if it's a previous conversation, but he's talking about the 1/10 platinum kookaburras.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that's an incredibly smart plan. Buy as many as you can and sit on them because I think they will absolutely go up in value. Those ones. Yeah. What's happened to Matt?
Apparently, the story's a constant line, and he'd be running down here if he could. So the fact that he's not here,
People are going to get sick of me pretty soon.
we're having a good chat. We're sitting at 40 minutes already, Michael.
Yeah. Somebody's commenting on there. It's just slipped through something about dragons are usually in March.
Yes.
Yes, they are. Now you feel my pain.
Hopefully it means soon, even if we haven't got anything concrete on them.
Like I said, it seems to be that the red hot goss is that it'll be kind of around that May time, but we actually have no idea. And I don't even know if Perth Mint knows yet where it's going to fall in their production schedule. So it's not as easy as just flicking a switch and hey, bang, there they go. It's a pretty complicated thing back at Perth Mint's end. So as much as I don't belittle it, but as much as I'm not as respectful as I probably should be over their production problems, I I do feel for them.
I understand why they may not want to, but we need to get onto seeing if we can get either on the stream or just appearing in chat every now and then. We need to get someone from the Perth Mint to ask all these questions. Direct them all to them.
I have tried many times to get the Perth Mint on our live stream or for an interview.
One day
we'll
future.
succeed.
We'll get there. Yeah.
So I think what we need to do is jump on a burner and we'll go over to Perth because they're opening the border now.
Yes.
And we'll front up and say, here we are.
Live stream out the front of the Perth Mint gates.
STI Custom, low stock on the 1 ounce gold coins. Rubes, you can answer that one.
Oh, this has been a fun one. 1 ounce gold in general has been interesting over the last couple of weeks. We're getting kind of split production runs out of Perth where they're doing one kind of item at a time. And without fail, whichever one everyone's looking for is the one that they're not producing. Or at least they probably are producing, but they haven't sent it to me yet.
It's this funny thing in this industry where you find that everyone will run out of Perth Mint 1 ounce gold cast bars. And so for the next 3 weeks, everyone that comes through the door only wants Perth Mint 1 ounce cast bars.
Yes.
And so we'll be on the phone to Perth going, we need these. So they'll get them made up and they'll ship them through to us. And the day they arrive, everyone will start wanting Perth Mint 1 ounce minted bars. And it's like, oh crap. So now we've run out of those and Perth Mint's producing cast bars because we've been hammering them for cast bars and they're not producing mint bars. And it seems to follow this cycle. At the moment, we're going through one of those cycles and we're being hit pretty hard for 1 ounce coins in particular in the gold. We're trying to keep up with demand. You can always pre-order. The kangaroos will always be able to get in. Obviously, swans you can't. But, the kangaroos, that type of thing, you can always place a pre-order on them. We will always be able to get them.
How do people place a pre-order if they'd like?
So come into the store, so level 6227 Collins Street in Melbourne. Give us a ring, 1300 84 84 10. Talk to the lovely Sylvia or Matt or myself when I'm filling in for them. Or you can send in an email, so sales@bullionnow.com.au, and we can organise a pre-order. Now, just so we're absolutely clear and people don't misunderstand what I'm saying, a pre-order means that you can't just roll in and take delivery. We should be able to give you a bit of an idea of how long it'll take for it to come in, but it might be days, it might be weeks, it might even be a month or so before we can land them, depending on what you're asking. That means you still pay for it up front though, because to lock in, the way the gold industry, the way the precious metals industry works, is that you pay when you place the order, whether you take delivery of the stock or not.
Because at that point, you're locking aside the spot price as well. So even if gold doubles overnight, you can still come through and pick up your gold ounce that you've locked aside.
So everyone locks in down the page. So you lock in with us and pay for it. We lock in with the wholesaler and pay for it. They lock in with the refiner and pay for it. And that way everyone knows that no matter what happens to spot price, everyone's received their money. And then the refiner produces it, sends it to the wholesaler who sends it to us, and then we give it to you. So just be aware that's what you're going into with pre-orders. It could be that you're paying for it today, but you're not going to get delivery for it for 3 or 4 weeks.
Legbad saying, who would want minted over cast? Crazy. That is a debate as old as time, up there with Apple and Microsoft and, other long fighting debates. We see both people on both sides there. Some, preferring cast for the fact you can hold it and feel it and actually touch it. It's also a lot more compact.
Yeah.
And other people prefer the minted just for the, the aesthetic look of it. I think they do present nicer in that sense. It's kind of more of the classic gold bar that people kind of imagine and see.
And people love packaging.
People love packaging. Sometimes I hand over a little gold ounce and I'll put it in a bag, make it look nice and proper kind of thing. But it's still just okay. That's the blob, but that's the gold, and that's the beauty of it. But some people do enjoy packaging.
Yeah, and also it's really good for super funds because they're numbered quite often, so they can keep track of them for their audits and that sort of stuff. So there's that advantage. The other one is that with Perth Mint as the classic example, they come in what's called tamper evident packaging. So if anyone plays around with that packaging at all, it comes up with a whole stack of voids around it. Now that doesn't mean the gold is void. What it means is the security packaging is now void because it's been opened or tampered with in some form. So up to that point, that lump of gold, that ounce of gold, has never been touched since it left the Perth Mint. So some people like that assurance. So that's the other reason. the final reason there's always this debate about minted over cast, is that some smuggling operations find them easier to swallow. Let's leave it at that, shall we?
I'm going to chuck a quick poll just because I want to see what everyone reckons is best, just between those sitting here in chat.
Just on the minted ones today, we're going to do an
I think
epic
we're going to do a
buyback.
separate video on them.
Yeah, you've got to see this one. We had 10 ounces, although we had to cut one open, unfortunately, but we had 10 ounces of Perth Mint minted bars sold back in today, and they are from the first kind of production series of Perth Mint's minted bars, and they are in.
It's cool to see the evolution.
Yeah.
And that's it, obviously the condition of them as well, but just to see the difference with what they've done, I think is really, really cool.
Very schmick. So we'll do a video on them and we'll put them side by side with newer ones. And in fact, I think in the other buybacks, we might even have one of the greens. So we could even do the 3 stages of the minted bars. So look out for that video. I'm actually really, really, really excited about it. The only one, I think I've got an Oriana as well. Because I think that's the 4 types of minted bars that Perth Mint's ever produced along those sort of lines. So look out for that video. It's a great one for nerds like me who, love seeing those types of things. So, and it's good education, so good fun.
Cast bars are winning so far, Michael. 59% reckon cast bars outweigh the minted. So you're on the side of the majority there.
Yeah, I'm very tactile, so I like handling my gold. It's good fun.
I put every now and then when someone's buying a few of them, you put them in one of our Bullion Now bags, and you definitely get that barren kind of medieval purse feeling to it.
Yeah, that's
You're just going to throw it at someone to pay for the damage of it. Sorry for the mess, kind of a.
No, they come across. They're great. So I love the cast bar. Have you got any idle gossip from the shop? Or have we already talked about it?
Kind of covered it a little bit. That's it. I was going to bring up, those super cool older Perth Mint bars. So nothing else major aside from that's it. It's been very, very busy for us.
It has. All right, let's get on to some some industry gossip, I suppose is the best way to say it. So the couple of things I wanted to touch on. One we've already talked about, and that is the increasing premiums that we're currently seeing. They're starting to come through now, so I'd suggest if you are looking at anything in the next week, you lock it in earlier rather than later, because you're going to see that premium increase. I know there's a premium increase coming on the Perth Mint kangaroos in the very near future. That comes in the next week, and there's a few of the other refineries that have notified us that they're increasing the premium. So you'll see that jump through. So be aware of that for industry goss. Also, I can't remember what the other one was. There was one more that I was going to go through. But the other thing I wanted to touch on now, this is going to be a little bit of a sensitive topic, and I don't mean any offence by this, so be really careful. We're going to throw up an article in a minute from the Australian Financial Review. And this kind of tags in, excuse me, a little bit with the one I did a couple of weeks ago on what's happening in Canada. It's kind of along those kind of lines. So this is an article from yesterday's Financial Review.
It's more a comment on what's happening with it as opposed to trying to us delve into the politics or whatever on it.
So what it's talking about, I don't know if you've thrown it up.
Tell me when you want
well, don't throw it up quite yet.
Yep.
It is to do with the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. Now, I'm not making light of this. Don't take it that way. I'm not making any comments, political or otherwise, on that. And as I said last week, we have several Ukrainian and Russian customers that we deal with, and even on our live stream sometimes I know there's a couple of them join in. So I'm not disrespecting anyone here. This is, you can throw the article up now, Rubes. This is an article in yesterday's Fin Review, and it's about what the UK is doing in regards to Russian ownership of property and assets in the United Kingdom. And you can bet your bottom dollar that if they do it, it will flow through to the rest of the system. Now, they are looking at seizing the assets of certain Russian individuals in the country, and taking possession of those assets, disposing of them and not compensating the owners, the legal owners of those assets for the fact that these things have been confiscated. Now, rightly or wrongly, again, this is not a comment about the war that's going on and the terrible things that are happening. This is not a comment about that. What this is it raises another flag. Governments, politicians are really, really keen on jumping on bandwagons, things that are popular that they can make front pages with, and they can push through and they can go with the populist thing that's going on at the moment. But they don't look at the repercussions of those laws down the track and how that's going to impact on people. So you can imagine if they pass a law where they say, if we don't like a group of people for some reason, for whatever's going on, for whatever reason, we are now going to confiscate their assets, and we're not going to compensate you for it. We're just going to take the assets and we're going to sell them ourselves, and they're now ours as a government. The precedence that sets across the world should concern you and cause shivers down your spine. And if there's ever an argument for precious metals, this is one of them. And not just precious metals, but precious metals particularly leave very little footprint. And it's why precious metals make governments nervous. But it leaves very little footprint. So while a property transaction, even a Bitcoin transaction, leaves a very massive footprint on society and is very easy to track down and trace, other assets may not be. And it's laws like this that should concern you. The UK, we base our legal system on the Westminster system out of the UK. And as I said a fortnight ago, our GST laws were a cut and paste from the Canadian GST laws. We are all, well, I mean, the UK heads the Commonwealth for obvious reasons. We are all interrelated with our laws, our taxes, a lot of our society attitudes. It's very easy to see these laws being copied in this country and in a lot of the Commonwealth or Western countries. I'm not trying to say this to alarm anyone, and yes, you can absolutely, in this one, accuse me of trying to push bullion, but I am a bullion dealer at the end of the day. But I'm not only just pushing bullion on this one, I'm pushing the awareness of what governments will pass and not consider the repercussions, but also I'm pushing you thinking about your asset allocation. I'm not saying don't buy property. I'm not saying don't buy Bitcoin. What I am saying is be aware of the footprints you are leaving and be aware of spreading your risk around. And one of those risks is sovereign risk, meaning can this be confiscated by a government? I know that I've lit a lot of people's fuses now.
No, I think a lot of people are on board. That's it. You're phrasing it very much as that awareness thing, as opposed to, it's not a fear-mongering thing. It's not anything like that. It's just, hey, look at what's happening. And the biggest difference that I've seen this time is that's it. It is in those kind of countries that are very, very similar to us, and there's not that much required for it to be Australian. And obviously we've got international viewers here that may even be impacted by these changes. But for us as an Australian company, that's it. It's not that impossible to look at these things and go, yeah, what's different? And so it's about preparing, and that's it. As you said, it's not just about precious metals, but that is definitely an avenue that works. Yeah.
I'll get off my soapbox. We should have a section called Michael's Soapbox. I did.
Well, we used to as a
Michael's Rants and
Michael's
Mini Rants
on
that's
YouTube.
Right.
That was a little series we ran. And that's it. If anyone's looking for that article, it was up on the Fin Review.
Yeah, it was yesterday's financial review. So yesterday would be the 3rd of March.
I'll quickly fling it up again just so people can grab the title off there if you wanted to, because there is more to that article. We've just grabbed the first page there. So if you wanted to read through it a little bit more, just grab it off the title there, or go back and watch the stream later.
So just to be clear, that's not a law that has been passed. It is a law that is being floated and is getting a lot of support from both sides. And look, I have no sympathy for politicians. I think they've voluntarily put themselves in a very stupid place. So let's get that out from the start. But I actually do feel for anyone that wanted to oppose this, because you look like you're supporting, the wrong side of the argument. So you almost can't argue against this. And we're seeing a lot of that come through in Western societies at the moment. I know there's big pushbacks in the US about these sorts of things, you know, where you're almost seen as the bad guy when you go, well, hang on a sec, I know why you're arguing it for this point, but when we actually take that out as a law and we run it for the next couple of years, do you understand the repercussions? And it's not that you're saying we should do it, it's saying that consider the repercussions. And it's very hard to argue that at the moment without looking like the bad guy. So be aware of that.
I did see a comment before saying that we now also need a not political advice, either tagline or mug or shirt or I need to throw up a few extra scenes, I think, with, you know, not financial advice, not political advice.
Yeah, we need to be careful. And again, as I said, no disrespect to anyone in this one.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Do you guys hold your gold in the Subway sandwich?
For anyone asking, because that's a someone asked if what the picture of the sandwich was. It's not a picture.
No, it's not. It's a.
For anyone that missed the start,
It's very three-dimensional. It's just to remind people that I still haven't actually had my lunch. It was funny. Big shout out. I know they won't be watching because they'll be flat out, but there's a Subway just around the corner from us, and they provide us with lunch most days. We scoot down and grab it down there, and they didn't muck us around, but they'd run out of some stuff the other week, so they gave us one of these.
We're not sponsored, but they gave us something free, so we'll give them a shout out.
And they gave me, I think, an extra large dose today of salad. So yeah, big shout out to them. I know they won't be watching, but just in case they are, thank you very much.
Phil T reckons he can already hear the jingle of Welcome to Michael's Soapbox.
Joe, where are you? We need your dulcet tones.
We need a ditty.
You got anything more for me, mate?
I don't know, is there any other emails you've got hiding there that you don't have to print out? But
I don't think there is, actually. I think it was a pretty quiet week on the email front.
Fair enough. I might have to plug that a little bit at the end.
It's probably the only thing that's been quiet this week.
We briefly touched on it about Perth Mint's potential premium changes, but Tennessee CNC was also talking about maples moving a little bit in premium as well. $500 US increase on maples, so it's $1 per coin.
Yes.
So outside of spot rising, so it's not just Perth Mint; it is a global thing.
Yeah, it is. So we must be talking about it a bit too often because Tennessee's having another go at us because food again this week. The problem is that we don't get lunch because we shoot this at 2:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So we've kind of run all day and we get to this point and we all stop and go, darn, we're hungry. We didn't get lunch. Blast again. So, but all good.
Why did we put it on a Friday, Michael?
That was a dopey idea, wasn't it? This is from Anthony. Michael, do you think the Australian government will ever make bullion a trackable currency where every transaction will be required to have a footprint?
Careful. I think it's possible. I think we're moving towards that, but I think at least for me personally, while you're thinking of your answer there, I think what's far more likely to happen is that the ability to buy anything anonymously is far more likely to disappear first, rather than it be specifically bullion that's tracked. I see it more likely to be a case of, well, I know what you've bought.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. It would be very difficult to trace bullion if they made every bar serialised. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from taking it home and defacing the serial number. That's certainly not illegal. Or melting it down and turning it into something else. That's absolutely not illegal. So I think it would be hard to trace every bar that went out there. But as far as tracing every transaction, we're already seeing that with mandatory reporting of transactions over $10,000. There was a push just pre-COVID, and I was absolutely 110% sure that was going to get through, and it didn't. And that was the making it illegal to do. Was it $1,000? Anything over $1,000 in cash?
Yeah, I heard
illegal?
5 initially, but I think it did end up dropping to 1,000. But
yeah,
it's been interesting to watch that tactic almost change over the last couple of years. Not tactic, but it's very much headed towards the public perception of it changing. Because I mean, when that was initially coming out, I remember kind of the reaction around it in the non-bullion space of No, they can't get rid of it. Everyone will use it for, for something, for keeping in their, keeping in their wallet just in case, or, this or that. I think most people now are running around even without a wallet. They'll run around with their phone and, tap everything on there. So that's it. Watching everyone's public perception towards cash change over that time has been the interesting change, let alone legislative changes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not go political on this. I was about to make a political statement, I shouldn't.
Not political advice, but I mean that's it. There is a line there between the politics on it and just this is what we're seeing as a business that does deal with a lot of cash. It's something that I think we can kind of comment on a little bit.
Yeah, I think Silver Delta's having a go at me. I never miss lunch. Don't think Michael's missed too many lunches either.
It's a bit harsh.
Probably a fair call though.
Doesn't mean it's nice.
Yeah, I know, but fair call.
G'day guys, any junk silver on the horizon? Where do you guys source it? It's pretty hard to find big amounts.
Yes, and yes.
We buy it back. So it's not always something that we can plan, hey, we've got some coming in on this date or that date. We will have someone walk through the door and say they want to sell a whole bunch back, and then we sell a whole bunch.
Look, for those that don't know, junk silver, it's more an American term.
Yes.
In Australia, junk silver, I suppose, would be your pre-decimals. So, your florins and your sixpence and threepence and that type of thing. We do get it through in batches. Usually we try and make a bit of a song and dance of it, and we do specials on it quite often when we get it in. But it comes in very sporadically, so we don't know when we're going to get it. And I have to say, as an industry, I'm seeing less and less of it. So I don't know if that's just the phase we're going through, but I would say we're seeing less and less come through in the kind of the junk scene. There's certainly plenty there if you're after, the uncirculated 19 whatever threepence or something along those sort of lines. That's still kicking along as strong as ever. But that bulk, somebody brings in a big box or a couple of buckets of florins, those types of things. Well, I seem to be. I might be wrong. I'd have to check the stats on our system, but I think we're seeing that less and less.
We definitely are. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on a previous stream or not, but speaking about US kind of junk silver and things like that, I saw somewhere, I'm not sure if it was a video or a comment somewhere, but someone was talking about how when you're looking to buy it, it's always constitutional silver. Whenever anyone is looking to sell it, the other person always refers to it as junk silver. Yeah, the swap between those two interchangeable words whenever one party is either buying or selling cracks me up. And now, ever since hearing that, I can't unhear it or unsee it. So whenever someone's selling, constitutional. Whenever someone's buying, it's just junk silver. Cracks me up.
I'm actually not a big fan of junk silver in Australia. In other countries, it's different. But
it's
in
got
Australia,
history, but
look, I love it I love the history of the coins, and if they could talk and that type of stuff, your imagination runs wild. But as far as stacking goes, I'm not a big fan of it.
You're stacking copper.
Particularly the 50% stuff, which is after it's 1946 onwards, I think.
Correct.
Like half your stack's copper. Is that a plus? Yeah, some people would say it is, but silver's hard enough to store. Like, it takes up so much flame and room. Do you really want to add copper into that mix as well? And then you talk about GST on it, because we're technically meant to charge GST on it.
It is something that a lot of people are looking for, that kind of those barterable amounts of silver, and so I will give it credit then as being
Absolutely.
quite easy to access, not just fractional amounts, but amounts that are very easy to find out about. I mean, your average person can quickly do a Google search and find out about this. It's Australian legal tender. It's something that is very easy to do research about, as opposed to one of those boutique mints or something we were talking about earlier that might take a little bit more to dig up.
Yeah, and look, you are.
I'm playing a little bit devil's advocate here.
And your argument is very, very valid, particularly as it's Australian legal tender. So it's not just, we've said this before, if you copy an imaginary mint, if you copy one of their productions, it's a trademark issue, it's a copyright issue, it's a civil action, it's no big deal. If you copy a florin, you've now broken Australian federal law, you're counterfeiting money. So it has that extra degree of protection from that perspective. It's a known weight, as Ruben was saying. It's a known purity. Although I would argue that known weight one, because some of them that come in here, they are so worn smooth that they are nowhere near their original weight. So I'd argue that one slightly. The other thing that I would argue is by the time you pay GST on it and things like that, I would suggest that you are better off buying a kangaroo, which is a mass-produced 1 ounce silver coin, pure silver, with a fairly low premium. That's Australian legal tender, so it still has that government guarantee behind it for weight and purity.
It's quite easy to deal with. It's 1 ounce.
Yeah, you're right though. It's like the others are fractions of an ounce, so you do have that fractionability. But I would lean towards the kangaroo than I would stacking the junk silver in Australia.
But each to their own, and that's one of the great things about stacking. We see some people come through and they have very specific, hey, I want to stack only this, and we help them with that. And we get other people that come through and only collect numismatic stacking, stacking coins and things like that.
But having said all of that, I love the 1966 50.
Yes.
Love them. I think they're great for stacking.
Yeah.
Makes no sense because every argument that I've just had for the pre-decimal carries for the 6650. Peter Grace me guide. Around 50 cents are on drugs for prices. They do seem to be at the moment. They're incredibly popular, but they go in phases.
It has been a while since I've seen them come back through as, once again, same as the pre-decimal as well. It's been a while since we've seen the 50 cent rounds as well.
Yeah.
Someone's talking about they should be moving that $10,000 cash limit based on inflation.
Yes, inflation. There's a comment on here, and I'm treading on very thin ice here, where they're saying you will own nothing and be happy.
Yes.
And this goes back to our whole discussion about confiscation and things like that. I was watching a YouTube, and I have no basis for this, but it's becoming an interesting observation that companies like BlackRock and Vanguard are owning more and more of the assets around the world. BlackRock is one of the biggest buyers of single-family houses in the States at the moment. So it's interesting to see these big companies hoover up the assets around the world. And this video, and again, I have no basis for it, and you know the saying, if it's on the internet, it must be true. Yes, I am saying that sarcastically. They're saying that, these guys are saying that within 10 years, like the companies themselves are saying that they will own between 80 and 90% of all the main assets around the world. And you can certainly see it. They're certainly starting to ratchet their way up. Share registries, they're certainly hoovering up, as I said, real estate assets and that around the world. So
once again, it's not necessarily something to be scared about, but it's something to be aware of and something to watch, keep an eye on.
Absolutely, something to keep an eye on. It gets to a point though where you play this out, where let's play devil's advocate for a minute, and you see some of these big companies hoover up all of a large number of the houses in a country, let's say in the US. A lot of the feel-good newspaper articles that you see will say house prices are up 5%, everyone's feeling wealthier. Yeah, but what it's actually meaning is that these big companies are up 5%, and it's no longer the mum and dads that have increased their wealth by 5%. So it just starts putting a different spin on things. Anyway, I don't want to get negative on that. So, yeah.
Melbourne Stacker's asking if you missed the special.
The special! We forgot the special! And the special this week. So, have we got it? Oh no, we've got a photo of it. Did we actually bring one in?
We didn't bring one in, but I did actually manage to get a photo of it up. Michael gave me the image like 5 minutes before, not even that. Very small amount of time before we went up. I don't know, would you like to talk about it before I whack it up? Or?
We should talk about it. So, have you got the link for it?
I believe I do, yes.
The link for the form?
Yes.
Marin's going to kick me because I'm meant to know what this is. I think it's a link for the form, and Ruben's going to put it up in a moment. But today's special is not gold. We're not doing a kilo of gold, which everyone, well, not everyone, but some people got a bit cranky with me over. So it's not a kilo of gold this time. It's
He's getting ideas on the fly.
I reckon that'd be a great one. So it's not that. We're actually going to do platinum. We've never done a platinum one before, and this one is a fractional platinum. So don't tune out straight away.
Just to
stick around.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and speak from Erin a little bit here, just so that she doesn't get all upset at us. So that's it. I'll put a link in the chat, and that'll link to a form to fill out. If you fill out your details there, if you're one of the first, Michael hasn't said the number yet, but the first however many to get that special, you'll be emailed a link with the product info. And then you can check it out just like any other normal, anything else you buy from our website. So you'll get sent a link to a private, a private product.
Yep. So this is a platinum coin. So everyone knows that I'm a huge platinum fan. I think it's got a lot of investment potential. That is a personal opinion. That is not financial advice. Rubes, we need that. This is not financial advice. And look, I'm quite happy to go into the argument about why I think platinum's so good, but I'm not going to do it today because we're running out of time. But this is a platinum special, and this is, in my opinion, this is a red hot one. So we're doing. Do you want to throw the picture up?
I'll throw the image up, and then now, after that, I'll throw up the link itself. But.
So we're doing 1/10 platinum Britannias. Now, this image that Ruben's going to show up makes it look like it's this big.
They can't see your hand actions with the images up.
Okay. So it's not this big and my arms are being thrown out really wide.
And I'll come back to you. There we go.
All right, so it's not this big, it's about this big, all right? So it's not huge, all right? But there are 1/10 platinum ounce, 1/10 of an ounce of platinum, which is about 3.2 grams. So it is pretty small. Don't get too excited about it. But it is a platinum Britannia. Now, being a platinum Britannia, we figured it was very appropriate. Platinum being the symbol for 70th anniversary, that we'd release 70 of these into the wild, and we are going to do them at a humdinger price of $30 over spot, which I'm guessing works out to be somewhere around about $180 something. This is something I
haven't looked. We really should have prepared for that.
That's what we should have looked up before we actually did the thing. About $180, just over 100. I've got at the moment. I'll do a refresh. $180.30 is what I'm seeing currently, which is an incredible bargain because they are. Platinum is a very difficult metal to work with. It's hard to find, hard to refine, all those types of things. So the premiums on platinum are always far greater. Where on a 1 ounce bar of gold, you might be paying, help me here, Ruben, about $60.
Oh yeah, you're pushing me now. Platinum's an interesting one.
No, so gold is about $60, isn't it?
Sorry, I tuned out for a second to pay attention to chat. Around about that.
You'll
get a little bit cheaper depending
for
on.
a 1 ounce platinum bar, just a generic one, you're paying that kind of $180 to $200 an ounce because of the difficulty of working with it. So to get these to get fractional platinum, $30 over spot is crazy.
Alrighty, I'm gonna, I think now post the link. It'll be slightly delayed, so you guys will see it in chat before I end up saying this. But
so they'll be all gone by the time we say it.
No, they'll see it in chat. So we'll send that off.
So
and
grab them while you can. It's just appeared on the side there. There are 70 of them, around about that $180 mark, give or take a little bit. Click on the form. You fill in the form with your name and other details. I've never actually clicked on it, so I don't know exactly what you've got to fill in.
We don't get time to do our own specials.
But it'll be, name, email address type of situation. Then within the next few hours, whenever Merrin does it, actually, I've got to admit, she'll flick you through an email with a link, assuming you're part of the first 70, with a link to the private website where you can actually order that coin. Please do not share the link. Because there are only 70, it's one each. If we find people sharing the link, we'll quite often cancel that order, and potentially we'll cancel your order as well if we think it's you that's actually shared the link, because it's to share the love around. It's a bit of fun, and it's a bit of PR for us, I suppose, as well at the end of the day. So, yeah.
And we're done.
Seriously?
We're done. The 70 are done.
Far out. I knew they were going to go quick, but that's a bit ridiculous. So, yeah.
That's a quick one. You'll it went quick.
snooze, you lose.
Apologies if you weren't quick off the races there, but you'll get an email shortly letting you know if you were in or out. So thank you for joining in on the special.
Good fun. Good fun. I think that's probably it for the day. What do you reckon, Rubes?
Yeah.
Is there any more questions we should tidy up quickly?
Not really. There's a few people talking about specific a lot of talk about the swan, but a few other individual things that are coming out and things like that. But no, there's nothing nothing specific there. I'll quickly pull up no, that's the number. Let's put up the email instead. I'll put the email up on screen so that we can have any email questions for next week.
Yep, so that's live at bullionnow.com.au, LIVE at bullionnow.com.au. Brett Forkheads just said, sorry, got here late. He's been getting the Silver Swan. We will not be getting the Silver Swan at this stage. We can't source it at a reasonable price. So, don't look at us for that one. Sorry, mate. As much as that actually really hurts me to say, we won't be getting it in. Tune in next week. We will have Matt here next week. I will nail him to a chair in here. I humbly apologise for the fact that he didn't make his presence known because we have a couple of things we were going to discuss, but we'll delay that to next week. He's obviously been flat out in the shop. So we'll have Matt back next week. I don't know, we're going to do a special next week, Rubes?
I don't know, the running around we do trying to find what we can actually put up is always an interesting battle. So I want to say absolutely yes, but I am going to leave that little maybe just in case we are even more on our feet next week and we don't get a chance. So we'll try it. We try our best. We enjoy doing the specials. It's a bit of fun.
It is. If anyone wants to sponsor a special, let me know.
We can do that. We'd like to do it. We'll see how we go.
Yeah. We'll have Matt. We'll see if we do a special. We'll see what happens. Ruben will be back with his dulcet tones in the background. Connor will be kicking around, keeping us all in line. Merrin will be abusing us over live stream, undoubtedly. It'll be all the same laughs and giggles and stupidity. So tune in next week, which will be the 11th of March, 2:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I'm going to have to be careful because we go off daylight savings. So end of March, I think it is. So the times will all change then. But tune in for all the fun and games. And that's it from me.
And also from me.
We'll see you next week.
And the sandwich.
And Sam. Sambo sandwich. See ya.